Tonight's Remain, Chapter 11, Part 1. So Johnny slept. It was daylight when he woke with Warren's hand upon his shoulder. Outside on Tremont Street, he could hear the clumping of army boots. A sergeant was swearing at his men. The soldiers were paraded so close to the house, which stood flush with the sidewalkless street, that Johnny at first thought they must be in the room. So as you're picturing this in your mind, imagine the street is right in front of the front door. Dr. Warren dared speak no louder than a whisper. "I'm going now." "Something's happened?" "Yes." He motioned Johnny to follow him into the kitchen. This room was on the back of the house. They could talk without danger of being overheard by the troops in the street. Dr. Warren had on the same clothes as the day before. He had not been to bed. But now his hat was on his head. His black medical bag of instruments and medicines was packed and on the table. Silently, he put milk, bread, and herrings, which are a kind of fish, beside it, and gestured to Johnny to join him. So they're having milk, bread, and herrings for breakfast. "Where did it begin?" asked Johnny. "Lexington." "Who won?" "They did. 700 against 70. It wasn't a battle. It was just target practice for them. Some of our men were killed, and the British huzzahed, huzzah, and took the road to Concord." "And did they get our supplies there?" "I don't know. Paul Revere sent for me just after the firing on Lexington Green." The young man's usually fresh-colored face was haggard. That means he looked exhausted and terrible, like he was going to die or something. He knew the seriousness of this day for himself and for his country. But everywhere the alarm is spreading. Men are grabbing their guns, marching for Concord. Paul Revere did get through in time last night. Billy Dawes a little later. Hundreds, maybe thousands of Minutemen are on the march. Before the day's over, there will be real fighting, not target practice. But Gage doesn't know that it's begun. You see, long before Colonel Smith got to Lexington, just as soon as he heard that Revere had warned the country, he sent back for reinforcements, for Earl Percy. So all the troops that are moving in the street right now were already asked to go out before the battle. So this was already planned. This is not in reaction to the battle. This is because they were ordered out earlier. You and I, Johnny, are just about the only people in Boston who know that blood has already been shed. Were many killed at Lexington? No, not many. They stood up, just a handful. The British fired on them. It was dawn. Johnny licked his lips. Did they tell you the names of those killed? No. So you got to be thinking, what is Johnny thinking? He wants to know the names of the people who were killed? Of course. He's worried about Rab. No, Dr. Warren says. Did Rab get out in time? Yes, last Sunday. The doctor's clear blue eyes darkened. He knew what was in Johnny's mind. He picked up his bag. "I've got to get to them. They'll need surgeons. Then, too, I'd rather die fighting than on a gallows. Gage won't be so lenient or forgiving now, soon as he learns war has begun." "But wait until I get my shoes on." "No, Johnny. You are to stay here today. Pick up for me any information. For instance, out of my bedroom window, I can see soldiers standing the length of the street way over to the common. You find out what regiments are being sent, and all that. And today go about and listen to what folk are saying, and the names of any the British arrest. We know Gage expects to move his men back here tonight. If so, there will be a lot of confusion getting them into town. You watch your chance and slip out to me." "Where'll I find you?" "God knows. Ask about." "I will do so. They've begun it. We'll end it. But this war, it may last quite a long time." They shook hands silently. Johnny knew that Warren was always conscious of the fact that he had a crippled hand. Everybody else had accepted and forgotten it. The back door closed softly. Warren was gone. Johnny went out to the surgery, put on his boots and jacket. The wall clock said 8 o'clock, so 8 o'clock a.m. It was time to be about. There was no leaving by the front door. The soldiers were leaning against it. Through the curtains of the windows, he could see the muskets. He noticed the facings or the front on their uniforms, the 23rd Regiment. The narrow course of Tremont Street was filled to the brim and overflowing with the waiting, scarlet-coated men, like a river of blood. He left by the kitchen.